I don't know who you are, but I do know what you need. I can tell you, I know some gentlemen with a very particular set of skills. Skills they have attained over a long career of studying tape and statistics. Skills they want to share to make you a nightmare for the rest of your league. Head over to www.ultimatedraftkit.com and order it right now. You will be prepared for your draft. Your league will be frightened of you. And you will kill them.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Were you falling off a cliff?
I always watch your face, Mike. When I do the introduction to the show,
I don't blame you.
I'm always watching the adventure that is your bearded, well-manicured face.
I've seen my face. It's a good face.
It's looking all right today.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be sitting across from you, Mike. Jason's here as well.
You could be sitting across from
I know. You're welcome that I decided to go to the side of you. You don't have to look at this atrocity.
All of YouTube has to deal with that.
I apologize.
Your best look is profile, Jason.
No, it is not.
Face for radio. That's what they always say.
My best look is a black shirt straight on.
A black shirt straight on.
Oh.
Well, welcome in. We have early values on the show today. Very excited to talk about those. If there's one thing I'm known for, it's, thinking outside the box, living wild, living fancy free.
They call you Dollar Store Andy for a reason.
Yeah, I was thinking he was going pinching pennies.
It's all about that value.
Yeah, got to get that value. I mean, he remembers.
Why would I pay $5 for a spatula?
He remembers when he was paying a nickel for that Snickers bar.
This is my show. Look, you're going to learn a little bit about finding a value late in your draft.
All right.
And discounts on Werther's Originals candies.
There you go.
Buy them in bulk. That's what this show's all about.
$2 for balloons?
Ridiculous.
You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. The website's thefantasyfootballers.com where you can get the ultimate draft kit. Our listener community, where over 4,000 Foot Clan members hang out.
What's up, everybody?
Jointhefoot.com.
What up?
Instagram, we're fantasy footballers over there. And we're on Apple Podcasts. We always appreciate your reviews, your support, your subscriptions to the podcast. And look, if you subscribe, I'll pull some strings and we'll get the episode to drop into your phone automatically.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And now, what I want to talk about, the Fantasy for the People Tour brought to you by Draft.
For the people.
Because we are hitting the road doing some live shows in Minneapolis, Dallas, Philadelphia, New York City, and Phoenix. And right now at FootClanGiveaway.com, you can enter a contest to win some tickets. You get to win a freaking full-sized NFL helmet signed by a star of your city. You get to get one of your questions asked on the show live. You must be in person to claim the prize, by the way. But check that out, FootClanGiveaway.com. We are so incredibly excited.
That's what they use the tickets for. They take the tickets and then they're in person. And then they get their prize. I'm saying it's perfect. It's perfect setup.
But check it out.
FootClanGiveaway.com, free to enter if you want to win some tickets. And if you want to get in on the Minneapolis show, which is
couple days.
It's not long.
No, and literally handful of tickets. And when I say that, I mean just the amount of tickets I could fit in my hand. That's how many are left.
Yeah. All right, for the quick question today, we're going to do something a little fun. The question that came in is, if you had to compare an NFL player or team to a major motion picture, who would it be?
Ooh. Let's head to Hollywood, fellas.
Oh, it's time to visit the movies.
Glamorous.
All right, so Jason, why don't you tell us your...
I feel like I need to lead us off in this voice. My movie is a terrible atrocity that never should have been made when it was. I'm going with Dumb and Dumber 2. Not the prequel, the sequel, Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh, no. Who's the player?
The player is Andrew Luck.
Oh, no.
Last week, we had an incredible article by Matthew Betts come out. Yeah, we got to do something about this. All right, so last week we had this incredible article come out by Matthew Betts, kind of detailing, really taking you down through the.
All right.
Yeah, taking you through the history of the injury and what's happened. And this is why I say that he is Dumb and Dumber 2. Because Dumb and Dumber was great. We're talking classic, all-time, top 5 list. I mean, Andrew Luck was drafted to be one of those Hall of Fame first ballot caliber guys. And he was great. You loved him. And you want to know what you wanted? You wanted more. You wanted another one. I wanted a sequel to Dumb and Dumber. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
With all the main characters.
And then they took too much time off. And they went away. And when we finally got it, it just wasn't the same.
This is so sad.
I know, and I think that I worry that we're not going to get the same Andrew Luck. And by the time he comes back, I mean, look, there were some funny moments in Dumb and Dumber 2.
Wouldn't you still go see the movie? Wouldn't you buy the ticket?
I sure did. But
I guess regret.
I don't think money well spent. Maybe I should have skipped the concession stands and saved a little bit of dough.
So Andrew Luck is Dumb and Dumber 2.
Is Dumb and Dumber 2.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad. I'm gonna go with Tom Brady and the Patriots here. It's not Lord of the Rings anymore. It's The Departed. All right. The Patriots feel a little bit like a mob organization these days.
A little bit.
There's like a rat spilling the beans on all these insider situations and closed door meetings and extensions and retirement and the trainer for Tom Brady. Plus, I'm gonna double use the title to this movie. His weapons have departed.
Well, you could
Brandon
similar
Cooks?
to in the movie. Many people do depart the movie
Exactly.
not forcefully,
not through free agency as much.
No,
although Edelman was forced out. Cooks, Edelman, Deion Lewis. These guys are gone. You're gonna need a vintage Jack Nicholson performance from Tom Brady to pull things together again this year with all the weapons he's missing and all the tumult in the organization. Not that I expect them to falter. They found a way through every challenge thus far, whether it's Spygate or Deflategate or Aaron Hernandez Gate.
Oh, come on!
Hey!
Too soon.
We're talking about The Departed here.
Boo! Oh, boo!
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm bored.
Okay, well, move on. Your turn there, Mike.
He's going through the hole.
Let's pick up the mood a little bit.
Yeah, seriously. All right.
Good luck. Now you have to try to do it.
It's impossible.
It is not impossible for this professional.
All right, go on.
The movie I would like to bring up. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones.
Oh, no.
4th movie.
Oh, that was so bad.
And I am comparing it to The Raiders. Once proud franchise. Standing at the top.
A once proud franchise.
You had an action hero. You had Indiana Jones who could carry. You had Jordy Nelson. He used to be able to carry.
Wrinkly Jordy.
And then last year he looked like a 70-year-old man doing his own stunts.
Oh, no.
Similarly to the way Harrison Ford was punching people, and it made me sad.
Yeah.
And they thought, okay, well, we can bring in a young gun. We got in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. We've got the replacement. We traded for Martavis Bryant. They've got their own Mutt Williams. Is he actually that good? No. Can he carry the new Indiana Jones and then what? Who's running things? Right? Spielberg. He used to make great movies. He used to get.
No.
But now he just makes a ton of money to make movies that people don't actually want to see.
That's John Gruden?
That is John Gruden.
I very much enjoyed Ready Player One, so I can't wait for Gruden's next stop.
It was.
Wow. So this is an incredible comparison, though, and that was the worst movie I've seen in theaters in maybe my life.
And it
compare other than Blade Runner.
It makes you sad. Yeah, Blade. You want to know my other one I was going to go with
Yeah, let's hear it.
was the new Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I was going to compare him to Kareem Hunt because not only were they wildly successful, I'm incredibly excited to see the new one, or I was, and yet my co-host over here continues to bash on Kareem Hunt and superhero movies despite everyone loving them and them being great.
For the record, and this is a very important record, the co-host you speak of is Andy Holloway, not Jason Moore. I am way on
I don't need to see any more
movies.
superhero movies.
Exactly. Dan.
I've seen all the Jeremy Hill movies, and they don't.
Go eat your Werthers.
They don't live up to their billing, paying $18.
Watch your silent films.
3D movies that are all the same.
It's not. Charlie Chaplin's way better.
Citizen Kane is the #1 movie of all time.
Seriously.
All right, let's move ahead to the values before we get in trouble here.
Values.
No. I remembered.
Yeah, it was that was more of
Enjoying the
You
drop.
do realize
Yes.
that's your fault entirely.
yes,
Okay.
I do make them, so
Well,
you are welcome.
All right. Let's talk about values. This is simple. We're talking about players that are being drafted well beyond where we think they deserve. Players that you can get at a better draft day value, maximize the talent on your fantasy football roster, and give yourself an opportunity to basically steal fantasy production later in your draft.
Yes, guys that will outproduce their draft price.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and kick it off with maybe a controversial one, and I'm going to go with Devontae Booker, running back for the Denver Broncos.
Current starter, maybe.
He is currently in PPR leagues. He's 1009 in fantasy drafts, which is more than 2 rounds later than a guy like Duke Johnson who just signed his extension, and we know Duke Johnson has represented a PPR value in fantasy leagues. And I look at Devontae Booker as Duke Johnson a couple rounds later. I think you guys have shown a lot of confidence in the fact that you think Case Keenum will get this offense back on track. And like you said, right now the incumbent is Devontae Booker. But I want to be clear. This recommendation for a value on Devontae Booker is exclusive to PPR leagues only. And I want to be clear as well. I don't think he's a good runner. I like Royce Freeman. I think the proof of Devontae Booker's running between the tackles life is that he's a bad runner. He is a third down pass catcher. I don't think anybody's been stuffed more than Devontae Booker on third down since 2016. He doesn't run for big plays. He's never had a 20-plus yard run and 200 carries, so this is not making you excited. But as a third down running back, he's been great. 9.8 yards a target since the beginning of 2016 season on third down. That's best in the NFL. Does not get stuffed on third down. He's a shotgun runner. He's been stuffed the least on third down. And that's what he is. That's his role. And so what I think will happen is you're going to see a situation that might kind of look like Paul Perkins last year, where, okay, you're the incumbent, you're going to start, and then we're going to realize that Royce Freeman needs that first and second down. But they're not going to – Devontae Booker is the guy right now. They don't have a lot of other weapons, and I think early season, Devontae Booker is great. So if you spend a 10th round pick, 11th round pick, and I think you could start Devontae Booker for 3 or 4 weeks. And then he may still have the sustained PPR value. So I think he's a value in drafts. I think he's being overlooked. We all are excited about Royce Freeman. We all know the skill set of Royce Freeman in first and second down is a lot better than Booker. I think he's just a steal in the 11th round.
And there is the world that exists where Devontae Booker actually holds on to his starting job. Royce Freeman was taken in the 3rd round. I love him, but you have to accept the facts that teams miss on on drafting rookies. We miss on evaluating talent, and sometimes teams just prefer to go with their veteran player. So while I project Royce Freeman as the starter, I think we all do, this world does exist where Devontae Booker has not just standalone PPR value, but is the starting running back.
Well, I think when you talk values, like for instance, I don't like Peyton Barber, but at a certain point he becomes a value when I think Ronald Jones will be the starter. But it's like if you get a guy at the very end who might be in an actual timeshare and be productive. That's what I see Devontae Booker, because when you say, yeah, teams miss on draft picks, what I thought was like, yeah, they did when they got Devontae Booker. They did miss on that. But, I'm not a huge fan, but at the where he's going, he should outproduce.
And I'll pass the baton, but I want to give a comparison out there. You have situations like when, Jeremy Hill came into the league, and you just wait for him to take over, and Gio gets a ton of work. Gio gets a ton of that veteran trust.
Right.
Even last year, Joe Mixon, he didn't really get the work until later in the season.
It happened to Derrick Henry. Monte Ball, who went to this exact same team, was, I think, if memory serves, was a second-round pick, and Noshawn Moreno ended up being the guy who you wanted on your fantasy teams. Just saying,
it's
sometimes the rookies take over quick. Sometimes they don't. Last year you saw both of those things.
Yeah,
Frank Gore, for example, held on to his job. Marlon Mack didn't steal it from him. A lot of preseason hype around Marlon Mack. So
Frank Gore doesn't let go of the job.
No. Very, very strong hands.
I almost went with Carlos Hyde in a very similar situation where the rookie coming in, Nick Chubb, has destroyed his draft value. But Carlos Hyde's the starter.
Right.
He's going to be the starter. I don't think Chubb is going to take that this year, at least certainly not the first half. But that is not my value. My value, I'm going to go with a guy that I really hesitate. I really hate that I'm bringing him up because
did you know that you are in charge of what you bring
this
up?
Is like the coach that's like, boy, I really wish I could get this guy more playing time.
You're the coach. Put him in. No, the reason I hate bringing him up isn't because I disagree with him being a value. It's because I have drafted this guy at such a value all off season long. He is going where the ADP says he's going, and I don't want it to change. I don't want people to go, oh, that is a good value, and then start drafting him.
Wow, so you are buying you are buying Jason Moore's bump on someone's ADP. You think you single-handedly are going to raise this player up three rounds.
We'll see. Here's the reality. The guy that I want to bring up is
Fart Sniffer over here.
The guy that I want to bring up is
Oh yeah.
What does that mean?
It means you smell your own farts and you
like it.
Smell good.
That's a thing?
Yes.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'm looking at it.
Come on. All right. So DJ Moore is the name. DJ Moore. Mike was wondering in the doc who DM was. Worried I was going to go Doug Martin. Get out of here with that trash.
Thank you.
No,
we're friends again.
DJ Moore is a value. And if you've listened to the Fantasy Footballers for several years, you know that we have said, look, rookie wide receivers
We've said a lot,
but rookie wide receivers are not usually a good value. They're a bad play. 2014 happened, and in 2014, you had Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans, Odell Beckham,
Devontae Adams,
Kelvin Benjamin. I mean, it was an unbelievable year where if you drafted rookie wide receivers, you were fantasy gold, and it distorted the viewpoint because, that's not the norm. And we have to take that outlier out. We need to recognize it can happen, but take that out. And we have told people, hey, stop drafting these wide receivers these rookie wide receivers in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, in the 5th round. Like, it's hard to get value compared to the veteran wide receivers that are in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. But DJ Moore's going in the 11th round. He is being drafted as the 48th wide receiver off the board. And DJ Moore was very productive in college. His production profile is great. His athletic profile is even better. He's a 92nd percentile athlete. He was the first wide receiver drafted in the NFL. And you go, okay, well, I love everything about that. Maybe you don't like Cam Newton, right?
I love
That's
Cam
your
Newton.
issue. I know you do, Mike. You don't. You were worried about the Cam. I went back and watched film in preparation for this. I don't think there has been worse quarterback play in the history of from little kid flag leagues all the way up to retired Hall of Fame games than the quarterback play that DJ Moore had to withstand in college.
You are correct.
You can't even watch the film. It's just annoying watching these quarterbacks stink. But here's what I wanted to bring up. Take the 2014 out. Let's just look at 2015, 2016, 2017 at how the top rookie wide receivers have finished. Okay, so over the last few years, you have an average over those 3 years of the top rookie wide receiver finishing as the wide receiver 17. That's a very realistic outcome here for what I perceive to be the number 1 rookie wide receiver. But let's say he doesn't hit the number 1. Let's say he's the number 2 or even the number 3. If he's the 3rd best rookie wide receiver this year on average over the last 3, taking 2014 out, he still outproduces the 48th wide receiver. So I just don't see a world where this is his upside is, that wide receiver 15. The medium side is still a serviceable, wide receiver 2, 3 flex option.
I think the only thing that will change is the draft position. I don't know if he'll be there when we get to draft time. I think.
Yeah.
Well, not
anymore.
Not
smelling this awesome fart over here. Freaking roses.
Can you pull that out, Brooks, please? Smelling this awesome fart over here. We've been smelling them for years, Jay. They're not so rosy. Mike, you're on the clock.
Before I get into my first value, I want to thank today's sponsor, Pristine Auction, the best sports memorabilia website of all time.
They're also the ones supplying those unbelievable full-size helmets for each of our live shows.
Absolutely, they are. We have a brand new jersey on our wall, courtesy Jason Moore, in honor of Jason Moore, because Kyle Rudolph has made his way onto the wall somehow.
We did it.
Thanks,
we did. Pristine Auction.
But that just tells you, Pristine Auction's got pretty much anybody you are looking for. The signatures are always authentic. These are the best gifts, not only for your friends and family, but for yourself as well. If you want to hear some deals that have happened recently, an Antonio Brown signed Steelers Color Rush jersey, just $97. An Evan Ingram signed Giants mini helmet, $55. $55. Thank you. But if you want to check out what's going on, they got hundreds of daily auctions. That's pristineauction.com, Pristine auction.com. You make that completely free account. Free to make the account, free to look, free to bid. But if you're going to make an account, let them know that the footballers sent you.
And we also want to make sure everybody out there knows about SeatGeek. If you're going to live events, which of course you should be going to our live events and everyone's live events, go to some of these football games. Go to some theater in your local town. Some theater. Whatever your event, music, theater, sports, SeatGeek is the best place to get your tickets. It's what we use. It's what we've used to take our kids to games, our families to events. It's awesome. The app is very easy. Download the app. If you don't even know what game or what event you're going to, just pull out your phone right now. You're probably listening on it. Download the SeatGeek app and be prepared for when that time comes, because it's so easy. They color code their grids. They check multiple hundreds of sites to get in the best value. They give you the best deals, and all of the purchases there are fully guaranteed. Best of all, you get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app, enter promo code FOOTBALLERS today. That's promo code FOOTBALLERS, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase.
All right, Mike, who you got?
All right, apparently we see value on the Denver Broncos because the guy I want to bring up is Emmanuel Sanders. When it comes to finding a value like Sanders, I want to take a look. Has his situation improved? The answer is drastically. Last year, he was playing with a multitude of quarterbacks, and the highest passer rating of that bunch was Trevor Siemian with a passer rating of just over 73. Then he was dealing with Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch. Now he gets Case Keenum. Granted, Case Keenum, it's a smaller sample size, but that was a great year for Case Keenum, who had a passer rating of over 98. Jason nailed it. Massive situation upgrade. Last year, Emmanuel Sanders was playing through injuries. He was coming off of 3 straight years of over 1,000 yards. On top of that, of him just being a great wide receiver, an improved offense, Emmanuel Sanders might see the slot a little bit more, and he's already one of the best intermediate route runners in the league. The team spent a second-round pick on Courtland Sutton. Perhaps they want to go Courtland Sutton and Demaryius Thomas on the outside, and you put Sanders in the slot where he played just over 20% of his routes, and he was excellent. You know who played in the slot for Case Keenum last year? Adam Thielen. Things went very well for Adam Thielen this past season. So do not ignore Emmanuel Sanders, who's right now in PPR drafts is going in the 8th round. A guy who can easily be a wide receiver 2 again. The 8th round is absolutely ridiculous value for me for Manny.
It's interesting because I love Emmanuel Sanders. I think he's one of the more talented players at the position over the last, 6-7 years. He makes more out of less than a lot of receivers do. You do have to evaluate. The only thing that gives me pause, right? And I agree, he's a value. He's a value because of the upside of Emmanuel Sanders. But they do have a couple of, new guys in town. He's getting up there in age. When do they start making those migrations? Like you said, with Sutton and with
Deshaun
Hamilton. Both guys.
Carlos Henderson.
Both Hamilton and Sutton are flashing at camp right now. A lot of good comments coming out about them.
Sure, but they're not going to play over Sanders.
Where's his average draft position?
Sanders is going in the top of the 8th round.
Okay.
I'm
curious, yeah.
The young guys, and when I'm talking about him playing in the slot and Sutton on the outside, if they're going to go too wide, it's going to be Demaryius Thomas and Sanders. I love Cortland Sutton and Hamilton, but they're not going to play over these established veterans who have been fantastic.
No, they're not. They're going to replace him next year.
Do you think he has a 1,000-yard season in him? You think Sanders does this year?
It's in the realm of outcomes. I don't know if I would project 1,000 yards, but he can easily hit that.
All right, my next value is a big – Jay Grizz loves it.
Oh.
It's Trey.
Ooh.
Oh.
It's Trey Burton.
You better hide your picnic baskets.
Oh, my goodness. Trey Burton, it comes down – the value I see in Trey Burton is that right now in the 8th round – what are you laughing at?
Did you just get it?
No, of course I got the joke earlier, but it's just dawning on me again. Like our nickname Trey Boo Boo, it just made me realize it's so stupid. I mean, it's just I just had to hang my head and go, how did we get to Trey Boo Boo?
Okay, so the man who has forced us to use Turok Cohen.
Oh, Turok Cohen's the greatest.
You are name shaming Trey Boo Boo.
Where did Boo Boo come from?
Oh, there's Turok. Where did Boo Boo come from? Because his last name starts with a B.
I mean, come
and
on.
he's on the Bears.
He was Trey Boo Boo before the Bears.
He was.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He was, and then he got. Oh, that's bad.
Sorry, Andy, to derail.
Look, you want to wait on tight end. Unless you're getting a steal on Rob Gronkowski and you're talking late second round or something like that. You want to wait on tight end, and Trey Burton offers you immense upside at a great value. He is behind and will be behind Kyle Rudolph. He will be drafted behind Delaney Walker, and I like him both more than both of those players. The challenge, and maybe that's what the inherent value is, the challenge is projecting Trey Burton based on his very limited sample size. In our Ultimate Draft Kit, we have these really cool consistency charts that are all color-coded, and you can see how a player played from year to year, game to game. And we had a listener write in and say, where's Trey Burton? Well, that's the right question because he didn't play. There is nothing. He's not consistent nor inconsistent. He has 300 yards is a career high on his on
a season
on what we've seen so far. So it's all about projection of Trey Boo Boo, and you have to follow a few key pieces of evidence here. One is the 4-year, $32 million contract, right? He was paid $22 million guaranteed after flashing, in place of Zach Ertz in Philadelphia. And it's all about that athleticism. Now, he is not Travis Kelce. I want people to understand that because it's easy with Matt Nagy in Chicago to just say, okay, he's just going to come in and be Travis Kelce. He's not Travis Kelce. He's shorter than Travis Kelce. He's lighter than Travis Kelce. He's also faster than Travis Kelce. But he's coming in to play that role. That's the U tight end role, and that was one of the highest priorities for Matt Nagy, new head coach of the Bears, when he came in there. Now, they re-signed Deion Sims. They still have Adam Shaheen, but those guys are going to play different roles in the offense. That U tight end is the Travis Kelce role, where you line up in the backfield, where you motion out of the backfield, where you are on and off the line of scrimmage. That's what Nagy wanted. And you have a high talent, highly paid, highly utilized role in this offense. And as far as I am concerned, there are very few tight ends in the NFL that create more mismatches than the kind of profile of Trey Burton. So I really like him. I think he's a great value at 801. If I could wait and spend 7 draft picks on, wide receiver, running back, and then grab my tight end in the 8th round with a top 3, top 5 potential guy in Trey Burton, that's what I want to do. And I think he's kind of just a high upside tight end.
He's a must talk about on a value show because he represents to me this season the last guy in the tier of tight end that I want, and so which is usually the guy I target going into drafts. Like, who's the guy I can get late that I actually want? Like, if I miss out on him, whatever, Mike can do the Vance dance, but he's the guy I want who's going the latest, and that's usually how I do tight end every year. So
from an upside perspective, you guys would not project Walker or Rudolph to have a higher ceiling than Burton, would you?
I would say
not Walker.
Oh, I would say Walker. Yes, but he could have a higher ceiling.
Touchdowns represents ceiling.
I still think he can, but I would rather have Trey Burton.
All right, Jason, who's your next early value?
My next early value, I'm zigging where I'm usually zagging. I don't know. There's a lot of players I really like as values this year. I brought up Carlos Hyde. Might want to talk about him. I love me some Kerryon Johnson, but he's rising up the draft board. Ty Montgomery, but we just talked about him. There's a lot of good values out there. But one guy that I don't think we've talked about at all, and nobody wants him. I can guarantee nobody wants him because he is the running back 60. And that's the golden, you know how you have golden birthdays? Because he's 60 years old. That's old man Frank.
That's the golden birthday?
Gore, yes, the golden birthday. Look, Frank Gore is the least sexy pick you can ever make. And this is really a roster construction conversation when you talk about Frank Gore late. For me, I don't usually go this way. I like to take the safe early round picks and swing for the fences in the late round. But the argument can be made, the higher probability of getting those home run hits are earlier. You want to go a Joe Mixon route in those early middle rounds where there's a little bit more risk there. You can take really, really late a guy like Frank Gore who, you talk about a value. There's no way he's finishing as the running back 60. He's going to be in the 30s or 20s because he always is. In fact, the last decade, including the last 4 years where he's been over 30 years old, he's never finished past the running back 20. And if you look at the depth chart and you go, okay, you got Kenyon Drake, who they just clearly don't want to give the ball. They're doing everything in their power last year and this year in offseason to make sure he's just not the guy, or maybe to keep him healthy. That means carries have to go somewhere else. And if Frank Gore ends up with 200 carries,
oh man, I know doubting him is the wrong thing to do.
Oh, it's so easy, though.
But I still see him as, I think with the transition of the team at this stage in his career, I just worry about that Fred Jackson year. Fred Jackson.
Oh, certainly.
Fred Jackson was 34 when he went to Seattle, 26 carries for 100 yards, and then faded into the sunset. Gore's 35.
Yeah, he's
35.
But he's going home. This is his hometown. He's got something to play for here in front of his hometown crowd.
He goes where old people go, Florida.
Yeah, well, you stay healthy there.
Will they let him play in a Hawaiian shirt? Oh,
that'd be cool. Like over the pads.
Over the pads.
Very nice.
I want to see if it can happen. No.
Yeah, so look, he's not a huge upside guy, but he's a guy where you can play in your flex, and you're going to get some starts out of him this year.
And they signed him for a reason, and they don't have a locked-in starter. So at this point, you're telling me the RB60 in drafts is the potential to be a starter on one of 32 NFL teams. That's exactly. That's all you need to know. All right, Mike. We're going back to this well. Is that what we're doing?
I love this well.
Because
what movie is this? I've seen this one before.
It's called All Water is Wet because it's just facts.
What do you call a 3-star movie, Brooks? A dime a dozen? Something like that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, well, dime a dozen. I'm going to talk about more value from the Miami Dolphins. That is Kenny Stills, who Andy covers his face, but let me read some numbers for you. Kenny Stills last year was a wide receiver 1, 18.75% of his games. Though that is the same percentage as Demaryius Thomas, waiver wire sensation Robbie Anderson, and Julio freaking Jones. Kenny Stills.
You heard it here.
I only like the Julio part of that argument. The other part of the argument I think is lame.
No.
Just so you know.
I'm with you,
Comparing
Mike.
him
Wow.
to Demaryius Thomas when Demaryius Thomas disappointed people.
Demaryius Thomas was still a weekly starter, and Robbie Anderson was incredible. For once you picked him up off the wire and he was hot, everyone loved Robbie Anderson.
Let me ask you a genuine question, just to completely submarine your argument. Have you ever started Kenny Stills in a fantasy league before?
Yes.
Okay.
I have as well.
Yeah.
Several times.
Have you ever done it 2 weeks in a row?
Yes.
I have.
I have.
Have you ever been happy about doing it?
Yes, I have.
Oh, come on.
true.
Because
Liars.
even though it seems like Kenny Stills
Brooks, have you
has
ever started
played-
Kenny Stills? No, he's shaking his head.
It feels like he's played in the league for 15 years. I get it. He just turned 26 years old. Over the past 2 seasons, he is tied for the 7th most receiving touchdowns in the NFL. He is tied with Doug Baldwin and Brandon Cooks for touchdown receptions.
But he got to play with Jay Cutler and Matt Moore.
Exactly. The Miami Dolphins have vacated 41% of their targets. If you talk about Jarvis Landry, Julius Thomas, and Jay Ajayi. The team has vacated 50% of their passing touchdowns from this past season. Kenny Stills is going in the 12th round. Kenny Stills is completely free in drafts because 80% of your league is thinking like Andy that you can just find this type of wide receiver production wherever you want, even though you cannot. I'm not saying Kenny Stills is a wide receiver. You're like, I would just won my draft because I got Kenny Stills. This is about value. This is about a player who will certainly outproduce his 12th round ADP.
And if you're talking, values are great for best ball too. And Kenny Stills is a perfect best ball player because he sneaks behind the defense and gets those long balls.
He's a sub 4.4 runner.
When he's played, this is 2015 to 2017. He's played 28 games with Ryan Tannehill. He's played 19 without him. His pace with Ryan Tannehill is 35 receptions for 500 yards.
Ryan Tannehill hasn't played football in forever.
He's played 28 times with
And
Kenny
you know
Stills.
what? Ryan Stills is still an upgrade over Jay Cutler for this past year.
say this.
Without Ryan Tannehill, his pace is 56 receptions, 821 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Actually respectable numbers. With Ryan Tannehill, 35, 593, and 5.
I was going to say
for 28-game sample size on a team that I think is going to be terrible.
The one thing I would say in defense of Andy here, and when I played Kenny Stills back-to-back weeks and loved it, was when he's the best friend of Matt Moore. Matt Moore just loved him, but it's not just Matt Moore. Drew Brees was great with him too. I mean, obviously it's Drew Brees, but
I like your argument about the vacated targets.
Yeah, who is Ryan Tannehill's best friend? He left
Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
and
but
he's gone.
you have the variables of you agree.
Oh,
Amendola, Albert Wilson.
Yes. I'm not saying all 50 or all 41% of those targets are going to Kenny Stills.
You could have started him. I'll give you his week when he finished 25th last year. You could have started him 6 of 16 weeks.
Right, and for a guy going in the 12th
but he's still
round,
25.
He's 26.
Would you rather have Kenny Stills or Kenny Galladay? Battle of the Kennies.
Oh, that's great.
I would rather have Kenny Stills.
I would rather have Kenny Galladay because of quarterback.
I thought maybe because then.
The routes are smooth.
So smooth.
All right. Now I'm not trying to just battle you on it. I'm just tired of talking about Kenny Stills year after year and not actually.
I get it.
Feeling like I get what I want from him. I don't disagree that he's talented. I just think that the variables of how often he's been utilized and how, if they threw him the ball, if you could tell me you're going to throw the ball to Kenny Stills 8 times a game, I'd be like, nice. He's probably going to catch a bunch of those and score a bunch of touchdowns. So we'll see what happens with Kenny Stills. Somebody is going to emerge in Miami as a fantasy weapon at the wide receiver position. And I know we're just as fatigued about talking about Devontae Parker that I don't think any of us are projecting that from Devontae Parker.
No.
So then it's like, is it Stills? Is it Wilson, who, the hype train's running for Albert Wilson right now, Danny Amendola? Or maybe it'll be nobody and they won't score all year.
Well, the nice thing is, and this is true, their defense has been downgraded a lot, and they're going to need to throw the ball to catch up. And they're going to need to throw the ball deep, and that's going to benefit Stills.
You're going to see a down crease on their defense?
Yes, a very large down crease.
Huge down crease. All right, let's get into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
If you have a question, the voicemail hotline is 302-464-TFFB. We'd be happy to answer your questions. We're going to be doing a live mailbag at all of the live shows this summer. You can learn about those shows at ballerslive.com. If you want to send in your question via email, you go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button. Let's go ahead and jump into a voicemail.
Hi, this is RJ from the real world, and my question is, in my league,
MTV?
we have a limited number of waiver transactions, 16, one per week, and does that change the way you draft? Do you stock up on quarterbacks too, so that way you don't have to use a waiver spot on them every week if you're streaming? Thanks for letting me ask the question. Bye.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it does change how you draft.
Absolutely.
If you have a league that's formatted that way, you have to, it's almost like being in a league that drafts multiple quarterbacks or something where you just don't have the options of picking them up and having flexibility. I would draft 2 quarterbacks in that form of league.
That's what
2
comes
that I
to-
could trade between.
That's what comes to my mind as well. I'm still going to draft the quarterbacks late. In fact, I might draft them even later tier-wise, not drafter-wise, because I'm sure the rest of the league is also doing this. But I might look for later tiered multiple quarterbacks because I also, might want to get a little bit more consistent tight end. Someone that, a Delaney Walker's a guy I don't usually draft. I like to go upside, and if I miss, I'll cut him and sign someone else. Delaney should be okay because I want to use my weekly waiver picks on the running backs that hit, on the flex options that are better rather than streaming. And one of the things I would do, I would go back and look if you have access to last year's data and see how many times did you was this an issue? Were you running into it, or did you have at the end of the year because you were, playing conservatively? Did you end up with 3 extra waiver transactions?
Did he say there were one
a
per
week.
week? So you can't even save them up.
No, I think there were 16 total. So on average, 1 a week, but I don't think you could only do 1 a week. I'll bet you could do 15 the first week.
I don't think he
and then
clarified, but it's just public service announcement for our
Commissioners?
friend from the real world. Stop limiting waiver moves. Stop making your league inactive. Stop ruining fun.
Yeah, that's why we play. That's why we do this podcast. We're trying to help you win, but also enjoy your league. Shouldn't be pulling teeth. 1 waiver pickup sounds rough.
Ugh.
Not fun. All right, this question comes in from Matthew in Saskatoon, Canada.
Oh, bonjour.
Simple question if you have the ability to see the future. Who finishes higher at the end of the season, Joe Mixon or Jerick McKinnon?
This is PPR.
In a PPR league, give me a name.
I'll take McKinnon.
McKinnon.
Yeah, I will as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dolores?
I, mean, I think the higher odds-on probability to do it.
Dolores Ed in House Toilet.
Bonjour.
Bonjour from the toilet.
Here from the House Toilet, I would like to ask a question about keepers. I'm hooked on a Thielen and can keep him for a 7th-round pick. He has the 10th pick in a 10-team snake draft, or Zeke for a first.
So
Love
Zeke
the
for
show.
the 10th overall pick.
Right, Zeke for the 10th overall, or Thielen, and you get him basically free with the 7th-round pick. And he
Man.
says, I listen to your show from the toilet all the time. Well, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Man, this is
That's
this
a
is
really
tough.
difficult pick. I think I take Zeke.
I think I do too.
Zeke is a great value here, even though it's a first round. You're back of the first, and Zeke is. I go Zeke as well, despite the fact that I love Adam Thielen.
Let's play the game, though. Okay.
Okay.
Let's play.
Yeah, I
let's
got
play
you.
the game.
No, it's a
Players.
smart game to play.
Let's play the game we tell our listeners to play, which is let's pretend that you keep the first-round pick and you go with Thielen. So who would you get in that first-round
So
pick?
maybe I could get Melvin Gordon.
Well,
Probably not because there's keepers
Yeah,
in
it
this
depends
league.
on who's being
So I'm going to
kept.
give you a name. Would you rather have Devonta Freeman and Adam Thielen,
Okay.
or would you rather have Ezekiel Elliott and Emmanuel Sanders?
Oh man. So Zeke and Sanders,
Yeah.
or Adam Thielen and Devonta Freeman.
Yep. Feel free to substitute Sanders for Goodwin or Cobb, maybe.
I think I'm going to go Zeke. I want the power running back. That
It's a tough line there.
Yeah.
If you knock that Thielen pick back another 2 rounds and be an easy Zeke, If you moved it up a couple,
Yeah, I'm
sorry, it would be an easy Thielen.
I'm going to take Zeke. It's just those running backs are such a massive advantage.
All right, another voicemail question.
Hey, Bowlers, this is Jeff from Jersey. I purchased the UDK my second year in a row. I'm looking forward to drafting with it. It's awesome. I know you're big on late-round tight ends. You guys haven't talked much about Kyle Rudolph. With Kirk Cousins in town, I know he's big on throwing to the tight end. Case in point with Reed when he was healthy in Washington. Do you see him as a late-round value at the tight end position? Thanks.
No.
Yes.
No.
100%.
He's not a late-round value. He's a 6th-round pick.
Okay,
So
that's
the problem. When he said, do you see him as – if he had said, do you think he'll have a productive season, I would have been like, yeah. But as a late-round value, I can draft Trey Burton 2 rounds later. So, no.
Well, let's go hypothetical then.
And he had 53 for 532 and 8 last year. The touchdowns are pretty much guaranteed with him, but you're not going to see a season like you did 2 years ago,
right?
Where they had no wide receivers. They were all gone.
Adam Thielen sucked all those targets away, truly. If you look at the progression of Adam Thielen's career and Kyle Rudolph, he took over that role. So you're correct, Andy. You're not going back to that.
And that was an
version.
outlier year. I mean, if you look at his entire career, that was the one year in which he actually – I mean, his whole career, 26, 53, 30, 24, 49, and then last year 57. Then he had that 83 reception year. So he's about touchdowns. Is he good for 5, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns? Maybe.
I love Kyle Rudolph. I really do. I've got him as a top 5 tight end this year. I think he's great. In the 6th round, it's not the best value because of the other wide receivers and running backs that you need multiple of that are much more difficult to stream off of waivers. So it's one of those. I guess the answer to the question is yes and no. I'm very happy with Kyle Rudolph. I would love to have him as my tight end. But you're correct, Andy. He's not a late round value at this point in the 6th.
You know how many targets he had in the 83 reception year?
130.
132 targets.
Yep.
132. All right, that's it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you subscribe and listen on iTunes or wherever you are listening, on your Apple Podcast app, Google, whatever. Wherever you get podcasts for free. Thanks for checking us out. And check out draft.com/ballers. Play some basketball with us. It's a lot of fun. And stay tuned for the live stream of the Minneapolis show here. If you're not going to be there, tune in.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.